design costumes for me. Come
Wow,
hang out with us.
that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something bring up a really good point. So you never know, those experiences, it's Juilliard, but it paid you $100 a week, right?
Right.
So, but 10 years later, the connections that you've made are so crucial and so important because you don't know. My first tour, I got my first job in the city was a non-equity tour, Kiss Me Kate.
Hmm.
And like years down the road, one of the guys that I was on that bus with, like for 10 hours a day,
Hmm.
ended up like dating my agent. So,
Oh, wow.
and it's like, let's go back and see if I was like a diva. Was I nice? Was I hard to work with? Like, people remember things and you never know who somebody's going to be in 10 years. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not, you shouldn't do it just to be nice for connections, but like, you should just be a nice human being, period. But like, at the same time, like, watch yourself because you need, like, everyone's in this together. Everyone starts somewhere. So, like, be a good person, be a good human, and, your connections, you never know where people will be in 10 years.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely. I think there's that. What's that quote? It's like, be is it be wary of who you're mean to because the same people that you meet up on the way up are the same people you'll meet on the way down or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's that same thing as if you're at least a decent person to people, they'll remember that. They'll remember you. And if you're really really rude to people, they'll also remember that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's so important to be able to take those opportunities. But, at the same time, you can't live off ramen for 3 months. Like,
Ex-
so you got to figure it out.
Exactly. So while you were so you so partially through this, you decided that you wanted to focus more on your side job or survival gig. When
Yeah.
when you decided to create then this site for survival jobs for actors,
Mm-hmm.
were there were there people that you reached out to help you create it? Were
Oh,
there books you read? Like how did you know how did you take idea to actually doing it?
I knew absolutely nothing. My dad was really into self-help, so he got me into the Brian Tracy,
Okay.
Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn. And so I, thought I could do anything, right? Because we think we can do anything. So, I don't know, I never thought I couldn't do something. So I, called up the good folks at GoDaddy and bought myself a website and they helped me. I figured out what hosting was, and I figured out what I did a little HTML coding. I bought the big HTML for Dummies, and I've only read a couple of it, but a couple pages. But I just kind of figured it out. I did read Vic Johnson had like this course on ebooks.
Hmm.
That's 2008, like when all this was starting, right? So it's like, ooh, there aren't going to be any libraries. There's just going to be ebooks. Um, and I did eventually, write it's Kindle and paperback, but like a survival jobs guide, which is just basically listings and like temp tips. But, I just kind of figured it out. And I love the quotes that are like, you don't have to get it perfect, just get started,
Hmm.
right? Like I feel like so many times it's like, oh, well, it's not perfect and, I could make it better and it's not pretty enough or I need a professional designer to do this. No. Do you know how ugly the first version of survival jobs for actors was? Like, it was so ugly, but I just wanted it to be a resource. So it started out as a resource site, right? Because
Okay.
I'm on the floor of AEA, like asking for like temp agency recommendations, and like someone gave me their friend's business card and like scribbled on the side of it like a name or an email. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I
Hmm.
wanted a repository of everything. So one page had like New York temp agencies, and I just went through Google and like called a couple that I didn't know of. And then one page had like how to be a personal trainer. And then I researched like the different types of certifications that you needed to get. And I threw New York Sports Club and like Equinox, the links to their job sites on there.
Hmm.
And then I figured that what we needed was actually job postings. So the site became a job board,
Okay.
which I got job board software and it kind of pulled in jobs from the real world, like Monster and it's just so different. It really is. Like you cannot, I mean, I could pull in stuff that said like part-time or flexible hours, but it's not really what we needed. Like, I needed employers who actually wanted actors and who needed those specific skills, right? Because we have skills that translate, even though people might not realize that. So then I took it back to a resource. So as it stands now, it's a blog, it's a resource.
Okay.
And then, but we also had job postings, but the people who post literally contact me. They come to me directly. It's not like through a job board or anything.
Oh, wow.
Who definitely want actors and artists for flexible work. I just had one of my favorite temp agencies post, and then like some guy who just contacted me. He sells like a fruity health drink, so he needs people to go to different vendors in New York and like set up the displays and create a relationship with the guys. And I mean, that's something that somebody can do on nights, weekends, when you don't have an audition. Like, you want to get to the point where your survival job is not dictating your schedule. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to do your art, do those auditions, be available for a last minute call at the drop of a hat. So you don't want your survival job to dictate. Yes, you want to have one, but you want to get to the ideal point where it doesn't dictate your schedule.
Mm-hmm. I find that a lot of artists particularly, and I knew this when I was younger, don't quite understand how their skills translate to jobs outside of theater. So could you go in a little detail of, so particularly since you're focused on actors, so particularly from what you've seen from actors as well as from the job market, what are some specific skills that actors have that the outside job market is looking for?
Now, okay, so this is one of the things that just blows my mind. I didn't even know this job existed, like promo work, right? Mm-hmm. So promotional materials. So the people who stand outside of Penn Station and hand out vitamin water samples. Oh. Hey, here's the new flavor. Here you go. Do you want to try this? Do you know the majority of Americans cannot look people in the eye and talk to strangers? Like, really, like something that we do, I mean, something that we are trained to do at stage doors, press junkets, in college when you go in performances and perform alumni events, like stuff that we are trained to do all the time. The majority of Americans are too self-conscious, or they just don't have the personality that they can just click and turn on to deal with the general public. That is such an asset that actors have. Temp agencies love actors as receptionists. Same thing. Usually we keep ourselves pretty nice. We can look pretty scuzzy, but we can clean up pretty well too. Right. And we can put on a smile, handshake. Hi, welcome to ABC, company. Nice to meet you. Who are you here to see today? Let me get you a cup of coffee. Like, you give us a script, we can. You tell us what to do, we can do it. Mm-hmm. And memorization of lines. If you're doing cold calls, if you're calling people for a survey, like the drink example, right? Like that guy needs to go and create relationships with different companies or different stores. He can set up a pretty visual display. What are some other great skills? We are really, I feel like actors are overeducated, and I don't want to say overeducated. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like
very well educated.
We are very well educated, and I don't think that people think that we're book smart, and that's a horrible. Maybe it's because it's like the LA waiter actor stereotype, but
yeah, I think it definitely is.
Smart. Like, I know a lot of smart actors. Like, you give them an Excel spreadsheet and you teach them one thing, give them 10 minutes and they can whip that puppy in shape. Oh, I mean, really. And these are skills that we're not taught, but Microsoft Word has free training on their website. If you just go and look Word and Excel and Outlook and train yourself, like, we are pretty smart. And I think we're very willing to take on new tasks too. Mm-hmm. We're very willing and open. Oh, and the other thing is we understand punctuality. Because would you ever walk into a rehearsal right when is it about to start?
No. Not even as a designer. If I'm late, I hide. I'm like, nope, sorry, I missed it. I can't go in. I'm going to be shamed by everybody if I do that and get yelled at. Nope.
I mean, would you just walk in with your bag slung over your shoulder like, oh, hey, guys, it's like 9:01, what's up? No. And so, like, you get there, and I love this. They taught me this in college. They're like, if you're there 15 minutes early, that's on time. If you are 5 minutes early, you are late. And if you are on time, you are very late. like that, the punctuality and the dedication. We are a dedicated and a motivated bunch, y'all. So you give us a task and we will just get to it. You cannot teach drive. You cannot teach just motivation drive. You can't teach certain skills. And I think there are a lot of skills that you can teach, but you cannot teach personality and you cannot teach drive. And that is something we have a lot of.
Definitely. There's also, I read this study a couple years ago that's that some of the number one things that a lot of CEOs wish they had in their employees was like an entrepreneurial, or it could be like a freelancing type, like the ability just to want to push yourself above what you're doing. And the other thing was creative thinking and creative problem solving.
Nice.
Which is like actors, all artists have this.
Artists.
Because they can teach you the technical skill of the job. Like you said, 100%. They can teach you how to do an Excel sheet, but they can't teach you how to, you're right, how to be creative, how to think through things in a different kind of way than what you are taught if you have the reverse of it.
Critical thinking skills are very important and very overlooked, and it's something we definitely have. I mean, no one gives you a schedule, right? There's no like, you need to be at class from 9 to 5 and you need to be here. You create your own schedule. We are the ultimate entrepreneur. We are the ultimate entrepreneur. So those skills are just so attractive.
Do you, and I know we've talked about this before, do you think there is a stigma associated with having a survival job if you are a professional actor? Because I as I mentioned this to you before, I was like, growing up in my younger days as an artist and designer, I would have thought it was like suddenly me failing if I had to get a second job that wasn't within my craft. Do you think that's still a thing with actors particularly?
I mean, there's definitely, I don't want to say no, I like the word stigma. I was going to say there's like a shame with, I need a survival job. It's something that you need to hide or something that you should be ashamed. No, like you are being actually smart. It's the opposite. Like you're being smart about your life and your future. The hard part about it is when your survival job brings you down, when it takes you out of your career. And I think maybe that's where the stigma comes from. It's like, I was with my friend and, so talented, and we were incredibly like, both of us got called back for the summer stock gig, right? And for summer stock, the theater's only there one day, so they have you sing and then they ask you to stay later to dance. Well, she had to go to her restaurant job at 4:30 and she had to make a choice. Do I call out of my restaurant job or do I leave this audition and not get an acting gig? And she had to leave. And it's just, how would you feel, right? Like you're like that close to the job and then you had to leave. Like it's like the roller coaster and let down. Like it's like, I get it, maybe get it. They want me and I can't even go. Like it's just, it's so hard. And I don't want people to have that, I'm just a waiter or, I'm just temping or, I'm just doing this now. And it's, having a survival job, having financial security is actually smart and it actually gives you freedom. So I want them to think of it that way. I think that might help.
Yeah, definitely. So beyond looking at your site, are there other resources, but either financial or otherwise, that you utilize that you would encourage other actors for financial literacy and other things? How do you approach that?
I mean, I love David Bach, the Automatic Millionaire. He has a great, pedestrian way to talk about finances.
Okay.
Also, Susie Orman has fantastic books as well. There's like a Young, Broke, and Fabulous book that she has that I really like. School Debt, I'm not that familiar with. And I think she does a really good job with talking about student